Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown's first episode of the Effin' Fantasy Show. Really excited to get this going. We got Tom Lorenzo, the brains behind NetsDaily.com. Tom, how's it going, man?
Going great. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. I can't believe we're already a week into the season, and there's some incredible storylines. Really quickly, the Sixers are going to win the next 75 games, right?
Of course. I think we all had them pegged to go, 82-0, maybe a loss or two, but at least 80 wins, right?
Yeah, and I think that Michael Carter-Williams is probably going to lead the team, lead the league in PER, and be the number one fantasy pickup. Give me a quick sample though. What is your sense? How far did Michael Carter-Williams drop in most fantasy drafts? Do you have an idea for that?
Yeah, late rounds. I mean, look, here's a guy who's falling maybe into the eighth, ninth, 10th round because there are a lot of concerns about how bad this 76ers team was going to be, coupled with the fact that, we've seen Michael Carter-Williams in college have a lot of turnover issues, whether or not he was going to be able to create his own shot. So there were certain concerns, but I think the biggest red flag was, of course, how bad the 76ers were going to be and then how much offense people expected them to generate. And they've really showed up. Carter Williams, Evan Turner, Thaddeus Young, Spencer Hawes, all of these guys have been fantastic value in terms of fantasy.
Well, let's not forget here, because what's great about this show is that it's video. So when we show you our stats, and boy, we have a lot coming at you, you can pause it, you can read it, you can look at it. None of this podcast stuff where you got to maybe like write stuff down with your hand or something. That's craziness. So we have a lot of great stuff coming at you, and I thought we can jump right into it with some of our prepared or even prepared graphics I got for you. So let's jump right into this. We want to look at our first segment, which is players to watch. And obviously the big news from this week was Russell Westbrook coming back way early from an injury, which kind of kills me because I wanted to see Kevin Durant go on the greatest 2-month stretch of scoring of all time.
Yeah.
However, what are we looking at here? What are we going to get from him? How valuable is he going to be?
He's going to be value, of course. I mean, a lot of guys are picking him in the fourth, fifth round because they weren't expecting him to come back until after the new year. And of course, he had that huge surprise of coming back this past weekend. And look, I think if you're looking at value where people drafted him, it's a huge steal considering, again, that he was expected to maybe play 60 games this year. And if he stays healthy and the knee holds up, he may end up playing 75-plus games. So I think it was definitely great value. I think the one concern now is the Kevin Durant owners who have to worry about sharing touches and sharing the ball. It used to be that Durant here was leading that team and getting the maximum amount of touches. But, of course, now we know Russell Westbrook's back. He likes to create his own offense, create his own shot. So I think Russell Westbrook owners should be very, very happy. Kevin Durant owners, you never want to be concerned because he's arguably the second best player in the NBA. But, you obviously have to see that his touches might go down a little bit now that, Russell Westbrook's back.
Absolutely, and I feel like, I'm not a big fan of Russell Westbrook's game. It's pretty clear in our breakdowns. But what I have to separate is the notion of how he plays in a teamwork and how he can get them to the next level to win a title, and his fantasy value, which obviously is his fantasy value. I think you'd say goes above and beyond maybe the real world value he has on his team.
Right, of course, and that goes for a lot of guys in fantasy basketball. You look at what their value is in terms of individual stats and numbers. They're maybe not the same example as a Russell Westbrook, but someone like a Rudy Gay who is always puts up numbers but never really kind of elevates his team. But I think you're right in that Russell Westbrook adds more value in terms of fantasy. And whether or not he and Durant can coexist and win that championship, obviously, is going to be a huge question going forward.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on to our next player to watch, which is Michael Carter-Williams. An amazing run, and you know what? It wasn't necessarily a fluke just yet because he did it again for a couple more games. I think his three-point shooting is certainly a surprise compared to what he did in college. So give me a little glimpse into what's happening with him and how he's going to continue to shape up.
Sure, I think he's going to be fantastic in terms of, value. Obviously, right now he's rated as the third most valuable player in fantasy basketball behind Chris Paul, who's been off to a fantastic start, and Kevin Love. So that's great company to be in. But obviously, he's going to slip a little. He's not going to average 4.3 steals per game this year. But you look at the scoring, you look at the playmaking, which has been great, and the defense. He's got long arms. He's big for a point guard in terms of length and size. So you're going to get those defensive numbers. But I think anyone who drafted him in those later rounds, whether it's 7th, 8th, 9th round, should be really happy with the value they got.
Absolutely, and I'm excited because he's my new favorite player, and I'm very fickle. I'm kind of like your prom date, but nonetheless, I think that his shooting form and mechanics are really, really good. I'm not sure that's a fluke. I think he can continue to shoot, average or maybe above average from three-point land. His arms are long. I know he's listed at 6'7" with his wingspan, but either he's not really 6'6", and he's got a 6'7" wingspan, or something was off because he's got long arms. He was getting steals off guys that clearly were not used to him, with that kind of length. So I'm really
and and you've done the breakdown, which was fantastic. I saw your breakdown on him. And I know it's a lot of people are wondering if it's a fluke, and based on what we've seen early on, and of course your breakdown, I think he's here to stay.
Absolutely, I'm looking very forward to that. Let's move on to our next player to watch, which is, let me get over here, Anthony Davis. Had a really great opening week. Tell me what you're seeing about him and what you think is going to happen as we go forward.
No, what's been great about Anthony Davis, everybody knows about the blocks, they know about the defense, but I think the fact that he's shown how aggressive he can be on offense and how much of a factor and a force he can be in the middle. It's been great that he's getting to the free throw line almost 7 times per game. Again, showing the aggressiveness in the paint. Anthony Davis is one of those guys who, when all is said and done, he may be among the top 2 or 3 big men in fantasy basketball. And he was somebody who guys were getting in as late as the 2nd, 3rd round. He's starting to show that, the hype is kind of catching up to the talent is catching up to the hype. It's just been unbelievable, and I would not be surprised if he finishes the year with 20-plus points, 10-plus rebounds, and close to 3 blocks per game. His defense has just been exceptional.
I think the key here for me is minutes. I'm looking at him. He's going to get to 37, 38 minutes a game, and that's always key for a fantasy player because, let's face it, you see Nick Young producing with those awful shots he takes. I think that almost every player in the league could go in there and take those bad shots and make 40% of them. So when you get minutes like that, and let's face it, he is as good as we're talking about, I think that's what you got to watch for as far as him producing, and these numbers are just incredible.
I totally agree. I totally think that, just having a fantastic start and, the ability where, Ryan Anderson's been hurt early on and they were concerned about the inability to stretch the floor. But the way Anthony Davis has responded in terms of being that main big in the middle, it's just been fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on to our next segment of the show, which is the injury report. And we have a couple injuries to be aware of. And the first thing we have to start off the season is we have 3 players we want to spotlight: Kobe Bryant, Rajon Rondo, and Andrew Bynum. And let's go in order. So we have Kobe Bryant. We don't know he's going to come back, and that's going to be a real interesting thing. But there's no question. The real question is going to be is how well he'll perform when he comes back. I don't think he's going to perform that well. I think his numbers are going to be down for quite a while when he comes back, and he might even rush back knowing how Kobe likes to operate. Rajon Rondo, the same thing. I think he's been working out a little bit. We don't know when he's going to come back either. But I don't know. I feel like with his injury and his age, he should come back pretty strong and get back to where he was 2 years ago. And I believe that his issues from even last year before he got injured are just some sort of weird blip on the radar. I can't believe that he'll be consistently down from where he was before. And the only issue now is what the Celtics will do with him and whether or not they want to move him. But either way, he's going to give you those numbers. So keep your eye on that and look for those news when you want to grab him. Andrew Bynum, it didn't really change my opinion of what he's doing. I'm actually surprised he played a little bit and got some information. So he actually got some playing time. So we'll see how that works out. I don't assume he'll really push these up that far, the numbers. But he's on a decent team. He could get a little bit, but I'm not sure he's going to add that much value to your fantasy league team compared to other guys who can give you more and get you more minutes. So let's move on to our next slide here, which is the players to watch in the coming up week. We got Lance Stephenson, who is continuing to surprise me, doing very well over the last 3 games. The Pacers look good. They look like they're primed to knock off the Heat, and with that kind of confidence comes better play. Again, 36 minutes a game is big for him. Granger was not playing and taking those minutes away yet, so that's a big key for him. So keep your eye on that, because I think that when Granger starts playing more, if he does play more with his injury issues, that will go down. But so far, so good. So ride Lance Stephenson as much as you can while he's hot as well, because I really don't think that he's going to continue to shoot, 60% from the field. The other troubling thing are those free throws. That's a real problem. So keep your eye on him, and if you can get some good value now, I would probably move him sooner than later. We got Miles Plumlee, who is a nice little revelation here from this past week, and he's doing very nicely. He would double-double over 3 games. He's not really a focal point of the offense. He's sort of a, kind of getting the garbage and getting the quick stuff from Dragic and from the guards penetrating. So, he's just not a guy who's going to create stuff for himself. But you know what? If he continues to get the 32, 33 minutes, there's no reason to believe that he won't get those 10 points. And certainly the rebounding thing, he's a high-energy guy. He's got a good body. So I anticipate him, shooting well and getting some amount of rebounds. I'm not so sure he'll keep double figures up. The blocks as well are also impressive to me. So it's a nice pickup if you can grab him. Definitely a nice welcome surprise. Our next player is toiling away on the Celtics, Vitor Faverani. And, in 27 minutes a game, which is decent for him, he's doing a double, 11 points a game and eight rebounds, which is very solid and a high field goal percentage. So definitely keep your eye on him if you need a little bit of scoring, a little bit of rebounding to shore up your lineup. He definitely is someone who is getting some decent minutes on a team that is not going very, very far. And I have no reason to believe he won't continue to get those minutes and give you some production. And look at those blocks. The blocks are off through the roof at this point right now. So, again, probably won't finish, a month into the season. He'll probably have some drop-off on this, but these are promising without question. So let's look at my favorite part of the show, which is the schedule analysis, which is what you don't see often, and who is going to benefit and who's not. So clearly Minnesota's come out the gate doing great as an overall team. I love their offense with the corner actions. They have great splits. They have terrific flow. And Ricky Rubio and Kevin Love and Pekovic, and Kevin Martin are all already clicking in midseason form. So let me see here. We have so they're playing at Cleveland, Golden State, Dallas, and the Lakers. So certainly with the Lakers game, they should be able to get a lot of points. The defense there is not great. Dallas is middling. Golden State, isn't as much a a defensive club. They should be they should get some good numbers if you have anybody on the Minnesota Timberwolves. And so and then you have Cleveland again, a team that I think that they should be able to do pretty well against the way they match up. Philadelphia again plays Golden State, like we said. Washington, they did a very poor start. Morale is low. I should see you can continue doing that. In fact, Philly could finish 6-1 after the second week. And they play a home-and-home against Cleveland. So guys who are on Philly, like Michael Carter-Williams and Spencer Hawes, should have really solid weeks. And the Spurs going at Denver, having a disappointing opening as far as the season has started. Phoenix, again, a team that they should do well against. Golden State, we talked about. And the Knicks, the defensive situation of the Knicks, I think, is really a problem. And I think that they should do pretty well across the board. All the players on the Spurs, the way the Knicks, they help one pass away way too much. They allow middle penetration. So anyway, let's move on to the bad. Detroit's got only 2 games, which is part of the bad, is they're not going to get a lot of stats this week. And they have to play against one of the best defenses of all in Indiana, and then OKC's got a solid defense as well. So that's going to be a tough one if you have anybody on Detroit. Josh Smith, you might want to rest him or something, because that's not going to go well against Indiana for sure. Milwaukee, again, only 2 games. Cleveland is a game that could probably get some stats from, but and then Dallas is going to be okay and solid defensively against them, but again, not great matchups and not a lot of games to be played. And then there's the Chicago having to play Indiana. Would be a great matchup on Wednesday. Make sure you watch it. And Utah, shouldn't be too much of a foil for them, but when you only have the 2 games, it ends up being a net negative against them for the schedule. So that is the end of our pre-prepared stuff, and let me come back to me. So we can go through some questions. I'm going to do my best here without Tom, and I'm kind of waiting to. So I'm wondering if he's going to get back to me and say something, but I don't see anything yet. So. It's always live online is always an exciting thing. Let me quickly find my my Twitter questions and see what we have here to start. So let me screen share, and I'll do my best. Again, remember, Tom is the absolute expert on this stuff, but a better option in deeper leagues, Miles Plumlee or Zaza Pachulia? Well, Pachulia's been getting a lot of minutes right now. So the way I like to do it is look at who's going to get the most minutes consistently, because that ends up yielding a lot more production. So we got to compare that and see. So Zaza's getting some more minutes. He's a veteran, but again, it's a crapshoot here. You got to look at the numbers and see who's playing more. I might have to go with Zaza right now. Would I trade LeBron, Steph, and Anthony Davis for John Wall and Dwight Howard? I love these like really big multiplayer trades. It must be like just guys want to do some fun stuff out there. I would say if you have LeBron James and Steph Curry on your team, there would be no reason to trade in any situation. I'm sorry. Will Larry Sanders pick up his lack of production? Larry Sanders has been a real strange thing. He's only been playing 17 minutes a game, and he's been averaging 3 fouls a game. I got to look a little bit more closely, but that doesn't indicate foul trouble. So we're going to have to find out exactly what's going on right now and see. But right now, he's not a guy you want to have in your lineup, and it makes no sense to me at all. We have another question. Will Gortat thrive in Washington? I like Gortat. I think he's got some ability. His fantasy value might not be as high as what I value him as a player for a team contributor, but he should do fine. He should get minutes. Nene is often injured, but they're going to try and play him. And that is the one thing you got to watch is that is he going to have to split time with Nene, or is he going to get enough time like in that 27 to 30-minute range? Will Victor Oladipo ever attain the starting spot on the Magic? Yes. In fact, he will be starting sooner than later, if not at all. He looks like he's got a lot of great potential, so there's no question I think he'll start very soon. Will Isaiah keep up similar production off the bench? Absolutely, he'll keep up that production. Like I said this summer when I did the breakdown on him, all he needs is more minutes. He's getting close to like the 30-minute mark. He's doing very well, and if he does what he's doing now, if he can get to 15-6 or 15-7, the sixth man of the year will definitely be in the running for him. Chase, you have a lot of questions for me. I love it. Does John Henson have a shot at the starting spot over Ersan? Well, Ersan's not playing that well, so we'll have to see. New coach, they're going to probably play around with their lineups a lot. Let's see what we have here on Twitter. We have some people who have been watching that. Let's see here. Yes, that was not a tech issue. So, Alec Burks, Mario Chalmers, or Raymond Felton, long-term consistent pickup potential. I like Alec Burks. He's doing really well. I was on that train from the spring when I saw him play. So I think that he's got a lot of potential. Chalmers is always going to have that third, fourth, fifth wheel thing on the Heat. And so that's always a potential issue. And Felton's shooting is always going to be an issue for me. I feel like he tends to go in those ruts where he doesn't shoot well. But he's going to get the most minutes of these guys and the most possessions used. So that's a real big issue when you're looking at that, and you have to decide if you want a little bit more potential, maybe some up and down with Burks compared to Raymond Felton, who's going to be much more consistent with what his numbers are. So that's a real good question. You're probably going to have to go with Felton if you're going to be real pragmatic about it, but I really like Burks. So there you go. So that's the same question. So, I don't have, let's see here. Let me quickly run over to our YouTube channel to see if we have any other comments there live. And let me quickly mute this. So, okay, now let me see here. We have some comments. Let's go up to the YouTube channel and share those and figure out what we got here. So let me make this bigger. We can all read it. And let's go. Actually, a lot of interaction here, so great. Let me resize this. Live TV right there for you, huh? Let me make it a little bigger. All right, let's see what we have here. Let's go back down the bottom and see what happened. Oh, great. Yeah. Wow. All right. Let's see if we can actually have some questions here. Okay. So we just talked about Larry Sanders and dropping him for Isaiah Thomas. If you did that, you got Isaiah. It's a great move for now. Keep your eye on Larry Sanders though, because if he can get those minutes and get back to 30 minutes, he'll really give you some good rebounds and some points, and he'll shoot well and some blocks. Um, do I ever think it's ever worth to trade multiple players for someone like KD or LBJ? There you go. No, I don't think you can afford to trade Kevin Durant or LeBron James no matter what. They gave you too much production across the board. Let's see here. I guess I'm going to go back. I don't like Mo Williams, and so Cartier Martin's getting some minutes now. You know, I'd give him a shot over Mo Williams. I'm sorry, he's just too all over the question. Um, and let's see here. Okay, yeah. Anyway, let's see here. All right. Well, I'm not so sure we're getting questions, but we're certainly getting some interest. And believe me, I'm as curious as you are to find out exactly what happened there in the middle of that the interaction. I can imagine that Tom's okay, but I have no idea. We'll find out. I'll get back to you and let you know. So keep your Twitter lines open and Google Plus and Facebook, and we'll find out what happened because hopefully everything's fine. Anyway, what an exciting episode one for the F and Fantasy Show. And you know, if you have any other questions, don't forget every Monday we'll be doing our F and Fantasy Show for you, giving you the straight dope and the kind of insight you don't see other places. So thanks for joining us. We're going to have some a lot of stuff cool coming up, including tomorrow. We're going to have Ronnie Nunn, who is a former head of NBA officials, on for a weekly show where we go over strange or bad or good calls and explain what's happening. And it's going to be a great segment. You don't want to miss that. So that'll be coming up tomorrow afternoon. And don't forget, a B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?